Throughout the history of the United States, immigrants have been portrayed in a negative light. This is often done with help of the media by choosing to ignore the narratives and struggles that these migrants go through. So today we will be looking at the stories of two migrant children coming to the United States, Ruby and Cesar. Cesar was born in Guatemala, where he lived with his older brother and father. At the age of 4, though, however, a group of men began to harass his father and soon after killed him. Moving forward to his teenage years, the same group of men began to harass his older brother. He had decided enough was enough and began to pack to head to the United States for safety. Cesar made this journey alone because his brother decided to stay in the country he was born. Shortly after leaving Guatemala, Cesar was robbed of little finance he had. Shortly after making his way to the border, he was captured by 3 men with the intent to hold him for ransom. But with no finances, they paid him little mind. Within 3 days, he was able to escape to the US. Ruby was born and raised in Honduras. There, Ruby lived with her younger sister, her older sister, and her father. It was around the age of 4 to 5 that Ruby's father decided to abandon his family. It was at this point where Ruby's eldest sister thought of moving to the United States to be able to send money back to support her younger sisters. And so with that in mind, she left for the United States. However, by the age of 15, the money being sent back was not enough. And with Ruby now being pregnant, she decided it was best to be reunited with her oldest sister in the United States. On Ruby's first attempt to head to the United States, they made it all the way to the border before being caught and being sent back. On their second try, they met a group of very kind people who would help them make it across the Rio Grande. However, once they made it across, they went from being very kind to being very mean. And at that point, they gathered the girls and kidnapped them and held them for ransom for $4,000 to the elder sister, where they stayed for 2 months before being able to make an escape. Once they made their way to the United States, they were able to find and be reunited with their elder sister in Maryland. There are differences and similarities between both stories, be it whether they traveled alone or together with family, whether they were caught and sent back on their first try, being robbed. However, both were abducted and held for ransom. When Cesar made it across the border, he was held by ICE for a month before being sent to the Department of Health and Human Services. They both found family sponsors in the United States, and Cesar found legal advice through organizations. Ruby now lives with her eldest sister outside of Baltimore, while Cesar was able to attend high school level classes at the age of 20 and dreams of going to college. While looking at their stories, I found these facts about children crossing the border unattended. 70% were from Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador. As of March in 2019, 35,000 were apprehended at the border, and 70 to 80% of newly unaccompanied children were the victim of human trafficking. I do, however, want to say thank you to Cesar and Ruby for telling their stories.